And even if I would have tried to fight my way out, they've got guns. They've already shown me their guns. There's one on the steps to keep me. And then upstairs is 10 plus more outlaws. And then there's the door to the clubhouse, which is dead bolted. That night when I called her, she says, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" She said, "I was driving with our girls tonight in McAllen, Texas. And at such and such time, I got this overwhelming feeling. And I pulled over on the side of the road and started praying for you." Well, I looked at the time. It's when I was in the basement.
Well, man, I'm glad we can make this happen. I know it's been a little bit in the works.
Yeah, me too.
You've lived a pretty interesting life,
Slightly.
to say the least.
Well, it depends on which circles you're in, but yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, some people think it's amazing, but if you're from the world, it's not that,
Well, that's true. It's not like there's anything unique or special. I mean, for them, I mean. Yeah. But I imagine a lot of these guys that get into criminal activity, drug activity, gangs, drug trafficking, there's probably sex trafficking as well.
Yep.
Probably just got groomed up into it, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm definitely a believer in the product of your environment kind of thing. I mean, I've seen it. But yeah, some people get groomed into it for sure.
Yeah. What got you into, did you always want to go undercover and work the way that you did?
Doing the book and stuff, you go back and you try to, I get asked these questions and you really dive deep and try to figure it out. But for me, I've always been a gift of gab talker, which you don't have to be a good undercover. But that's my personality. And I just always loved connecting with people. So then as I got older, I bounced, or I was learning the verbal skills, and then I went into law enforcement, and I was always a fan of anything undercover. It could be a cheesy movie, but I'm like, I love it. And undercover biker stuff even more. I'm like, yeah. And then when I was at the sheriff's office, that's when I got a chance to, I made it to the narcotics squad, so I'm an investigator.
Okay.
And then I went and got certified by the state in undercover techniques. So I started working undercover, and I mean, once I did it, I mean, I had the bug.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Do you remember what your first assignment was? Or
Yeah. Yeah, the narcotics squad, mid-90s, crack was still a big deal. Mm-hmm. And this is just street level stuff. So, but my training, I want to say training agent because I'm used to FBI, but the people that were training me, the narcotics officers who were longer in the tooth, we go out to I'm going to do my first buy.
Right.
And they're like, "Hey man, you just drive down the corner. They're going to run up to your car and you just roll down the window and just say, you want a 20. And cause that's how much a crack rock costs.
Okay.
Then. And, I rolled up, I was 6'4". I might've been 270. I did not look like I smoked crack.
Right. Right. They're like, what's going on?
I know,
here?
unless I just started, or I fell off the wagon. But I had on some baggy clothes and I rolled down. I get there and they run up to the window, the drug dealers on the street, and then they run up to the window like, "What you want? What you want?" Man, I was so scared. I cracked the window. Like I was sticking money into a vending machine, and I was like, "I want a 20," and they handed me a little sliver of it. I was like, "Roll down the window." He couldn't even hand it to me, and I got a sliver and then drove off. That was my first experience. I don't know if I was more nervous of embarrassing myself in front of the other narcotics officers or just being scared of being on the corner.
Yeah. So what did they say after when you got back? Were they?
Oh, you take a ribbon.
Yeah, I mean, and making funny and everything.
I made so many mistakes on my first narcotics squad I was on. They nicknamed me Little Bus.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Little bus, like the short bus.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I eventually graduated to bus man, but I was like, man, I messed that up.
What when you say mess up, I mean, I know there's probably 1,000 different scenarios, but what like generally would would that be like blowing cover or saying something dumb that doesn't sound right?
Not for them. No, it was just learning and making mistakes. You know, I didn't know how to do a search warrant, stuff like that.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
More admin stuff, I would think. But yeah, you just take it. It's a tough crowd. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, on both sides, on the right side of law enforcement, on the wrong side, it's always a tough crowd. I spent a little time in the military, and it's just different. You know, it's dark humor. It's a lot of rough, language. Like, it's different.
It's what you did to survive. I mean, it's kind of it's that proverbial story where you hear about the coroner coming up and working the scene while he's eating the sandwich and brains are everywhere.
Right.
Or because they just get used to it.
Yeah.
Or they have a dark sense of humor and they may be cracking a joke. Even law enforcement standing over a dead body, because I'm not saying it's right, but it's a lot of coping.
It's coping mechanisms.
And then, but then they don't realize a family member can hear them. And then you're like, oh, man. You spoke a little too loud, went a little too far.
Yeah, you got to be sensitive with that kind of stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
So you started in the police department, started doing some narcotic stuff, low-level stuff mostly. How did you guys, how did you get into, buying drugs? And was it just hearing it through the grapevine, having informants? How do you even figure that out?
At the sheriff's office, it's all of the above.
Okay.
I mean, well, at the FBI too. But we would have complaints. Mm-hmm. Hey, man, they're always dealing drugs out here. So street level, we'll go try to work that corner.
Right.
Maybe run sources, run through a couple of times, make buys with camera in the car, all that stuff, and then maybe round up some and then try to flip them up.
Right.
So they'll report or help themselves out by getting you higher up the chain, kind of thing.
Was that pretty common? Because you see in the movies, it's like there's this. I don't know. I guess I'd ask you. There's this almost false portrayal of virtue, and I imagine it's not a real virtuous crowd where they'll give somebody up like that.
So are you saying that in the movies they give them up too quickly?
That's what I'm saying.
Actually, that's kind of right.
The
other way.
The opposite. Yeah. Is that they like, I'm never but in real life, I imagine it's a little different.
This is what I say. In my experience, you're with the people, you're out in the street. Oh, I'm never ratting. It's my brothers. This, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And then when you're in the room by yourself with them, there's no honor among thieves.
No way.
And I've had some that were just young, and I told one guy, I'm like, the spiel that I would give, and my peers, my buddies on the squad, is like, look, federally, we picked you up. This is what we got. We're picking you up first, and you got a chance to get a seat on the bus at the front of the bus,
Right.
or you might not get a seat at all. And the two things that the judge is really going to look at is acceptance of responsibility and willingness to help. So I said, you can start right now. There was one guy in particular, we kind of, the takedown was kind of riding on him flipping. And he didn't. He wouldn't. And I told him, I said, I'm going to chalk this up to you being young in the game. I said, because you've never been locked up. I said, but here's what's going to probably happen. I said, in about a month to a month and a half from now, you're going to be sitting across the table with your defense attorney, and I'm going to be sitting with the assistant United States attorney, and your attorney's going to tell you how screwed you are, and you need to cooperate and start working on a plea deal. And by then, it's going to be too late.
Right.
And he didn't bite. And a month and a half later,
that was the scenario?
Yeah. I said, it's too late, man.
Do you know how much time he ended up doing? Do you even follow through on stuff like that?
Yeah, but you lock up so many people.
That's true.
Years. I don't know if he got 10.
Okay.
I know one guy got 10 in there, but
that's such a long. I mean, that is such a long time. Yeah. It's like, man, if you
and federally, you're gonna do your time.
Yeah, because I've heard that if it's federal, the likelihood of you serving a longer portion of your sentence is much greater than at the state level.
So much more consistent in the federal system as well. So, state systems, my experience being at the state and local level, and then being an agent working with task forces in state and local levels for the rest of my career, you just see states are just inconsistent.
Right.
Really inconsistent.
Yeah.
Like they'll get, for example, We had a guy, it was a major drug dealer in Greenville, South Carolina. We took him down. We had like probably six distributions within a half mile of a school, a
Oh yeah.
trafficking charge. You do all this stuff. And he was a big dealer. And without even telling me, the assistant solicitor cut a deal without even
At the state level.
yeah,
Okay.
without even asking me. Gave the guy like 5 months probation, and I'm like, what the? I'm like, this dude. We've spent a lot of time, and of course he goes right back to dealing. So we go back and make more
Round him
buys and
back up.
take him back off. And then you go to another one where I made 2 or 3 buys on a corner from a crackhead. I mean, the one you got somebody usually, at least where it was where we were at, somebody's running the corner.
Right.
And then you've got people that are users. So maybe like every 5 crack rocks they sell, they can pinch one, something like that. And this guy, I mean, he was an older guy, a drug addict. I bought from him twice. And we were going to trial. And I'm like, why are we going to trial?
For this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the assistant solicitor, she was younger, and she was like, well, he didn't take the plea deal. I said, well, what'd you offer him? She said, like 17 or 18 years. I said, good gravy, man. I wouldn't take that either.
That's not much of a deal.
So, yeah, you can take 17 or you could get 25.
Right.
And
if he's older anyway,
I
it's
know,
like,
at
I'm
that
gonna
point,
be dead anyways.
yeah. So we went to trial, and I told her, I'm like, dude, I said, I appreciate your intestinal fortitude, but I used the other example. I'm like, this would be great to use on that
guy. Yeah.
This guy's he's a crackhead, but he already had 2 priors. We
Oh.
went to trial. He lost. He got 25 years.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I was like,
That's wild.
but I would say he could have pleaded.
Yeah.
Or pled. He could have done a plea deal, pled out, but it was, he was like, screw that.
Still, yeah. Did was there any moments when you were working narcotics primarily, like this low level stuff you're talking about, where you were had or they knew like something was up, or were they just dumb at the low level stuff and just
No. Actually, if you ask a lot of narcotics officers and undercovers, the opinion is pretty much the same, is that it's more, I'm in more danger buying that $20 crack rock than I am deep undercover. I mean, there's always a propensity for violence, but
sure.
you roll up on the corner and somebody's drugged up and they shoot you for $20.
Yeah,
You
just
know?
I imagine it's when you start to get the higher echelons of criminal activity, they wise up. It's kind of like tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like in the forest, the big bucks are the smart ones. Right? Like
Yeah.
you don't see
They've
dumb,
made it. Yeah,
you don't
they've
see
made it.
dumb big bucks out there. And is that
I'm
true?
here for a reason.
Right. Is that true?
That's a good, I mean, I don't know if it's true for everybody that I've been a part of going after, but it is something that I've said undercover many, many times. I'm like, look, I'm where I'm at for a reason.
Yeah.
It's because I haven't made a bunch of mistakes, so tell me what the hell we're planning.
Right.
Kind of thing. But yeah, state and local, generally we're hitting quick buys and search warrants. I'm trying to think if I did anything like super deep, maybe a couple of months.
Really? Yeah. How's that? Even just transitioning into deep undercover, where it's a continual. What would you like a character that you play, or how would you describe it?
It's tough because okay, you're working for Greenville County Sheriff's Office. How many ways can you shave your facial hair?
I figured
Cut your
knows
hair,
you, right?
Change cars, change clothes before. I mean, because you're also going to the local court system because you're locking people up. So at some point, I mean, everybody's going to know.
They know who
you would
you
think. I mean, unless you're in some huge metropolitan, but still, I mean, you're
you're
hanging
not
in that same.
Yeah,
drug
and you're not a
arena.
guy who's can really like hide out anywhere just based on your size
Yeah.
and presence. I imagine that's kind of
I'm
a tell.
somewhat memorable.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
they say. Yeah, so it does get tough, and that kind of it makes me think of when I remember getting certified in South Carolina, and then as I explained, it's like, man, how many more ways can I change clothes and do this, that, and the other? And we all went to Columbia, South Carolina, to the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy to get certified. And I remember thinking, man, wouldn't it be cool if they had, I mean, this is mid-90s, but it's like, wouldn't it be cool if they had that in all in a database? And then you had everybody's skill set just for the state. and maybe Charleston County
Right.
needs somebody who's like a biker dude to come in and hang out at a bar, and I thought that'd be awesome. But when I got in the FBI, that's kind of what it is. I mean,
Sure.
you're worldwide, and you're in the system, and I mean, you can travel, like I said, around the world to do an undercover if it's needed.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine there's probably a look and a persona that it's like, hey, for this particular case or this thing we're going after, we need this guy, and for this, we need this guy.
Yeah, it helps to mirror who you're kind of going after, but it depends on
Sure.
what you're trying to do too.
Right.
I mean, if it's a group of radical Islamists, well, I'm not gonna.
How's that going to work?
Yeah, but maybe I'm a truck driver and I'm bringing them their stuff, something like that.
Oh,
You know what
got
I mean?
it. Yeah.
Just there's more than, well, how they say, cliche. There's more than one way to skin a cat, right?
Right. You spent a bunch of time with neo-Nazis though too, undercover, deep undercover, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What what was that like? How did you get into it? How did you infiltrate the group? What was that like?
It's a case by case basis. Some you may be introduced by a source. Some you may try to go in cold. Um, some of them, I mean, are recruiting, openly recruiting. So I just answered the call.
Right.
You know, I
That's
mean,
interesting. Have you done that? Have you
yeah.
showed up to the recruiting calls or whatever
answered
they
an
call them?
email. Answered
Yeah.
an email. I mean, the Klan, they had a Klan hotline.
Yeah.
Is what they called it.
Really?
Yeah. So I called it.
And then you just show up to a meeting at somebody's place and
Well, I call and 45-minute conversation. And by the end of the conversation, we figured out that I'm going to be playing music for the spring rally.
Oh, really?
Because the band fell through. The
so
singer,
that's how you got in
yeah,
by playing music.
that was a great way to ingratiate.
Sure.
But yeah, there's all kinds of different ways. But especially like in the bureau, hopefully you've got a lot of intelligence going into a case, because that case team's probably been working that case. It could be working it for a year or more, learning who, character traits and stuff like that,
Right.
to set you up for success, not failure.
Yeah. Well, and you're playing high stakes games too. A mess up is
Yes,
pretty serious.
Yeah, and so the training I got and we would teach is, if you're going in to do an undercover and you're expecting that there's 3 SWAT teams on the other side of that door and they're there to save you, and that's your safety net, you I wouldn't be going in, because if the crap's going to hit the fan, I can show you multiple videos on the tactics side where it's an adjoining door to 2 hotel rooms. Bad guy walks in, shoots 8 shots before they can even get the door open. So,
Yeah.
generally speaking, you need to be prepared for that.
Yeah, it'd be hard to prepare for, but that's the life, I guess, that you signed up for too.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, some of it can be super dangerous. Somebody might look at it and go, "Holy crap!" I mean, you're in the middle of a field in the middle of Alabama, gated, basically, and there's 30 plus people there, and everybody's got guns, and you're the only undercover.
Yeah. That's a little intimidating. Oh my gosh.
If something goes south,
What were you interested with the let's talk about the neo-Nazi specifically. Was that drug use? Was that violence,
it would have been violence, spewing a lot of radical stuff. And it would be, let me say it this way. We don't just go willy-nilly and open a case on anybody. You've got to have some predication. It's got to go through legal approval within our office and stuff. And some of them have to be approved at a headquarters level. But the you asked me the neo-Nazis?
Right, yeah.
There's different groups. I've been in several. Like some I go in, and they opened the case because they were putting all kinds of crazy stuff online. Or maybe you've got sources reporting, hey, they're planning on doing something bad.
Right. I mean, as much as you don't hate to say it, but as much as it is what it is you can hate people. Like,
Absolutely.
that's a right that we have. And you can say things about people too. up to a point.
Up to the point.
So it's interesting to me to say, okay, well, where's the line that they crossed? And I guess it would be call for violence,
Yes.
drug activity, those sorts of
Something
things.
like that.
Yeah.
Because I've done interviews with people who aren't from the United States, and I had to explain to them, I'm going, look, we have a constitution,
Right.
and you've got First Amendment freedom of speech, and you can walk out in the street and say, I hate any racial slur you want.
Right.
I hope any racial slur die. That's First Amendment speech protected. I mean, you see people burning the American flag. I'm sure that wouldn't go over well in China if you burned the China flag,
Right.
or Singapore or somewhere else,
Yeah.
Let me know how that works out for you.
Right.
Death to China.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, see how that goes. See how long you'd last there.
I was totally kidding. I was on a bender. I don't even know what I was talking about. But you can do that in the United States, and we can't investigate you specifically for that. But you get in there, and sometimes, I mean, I was in a group for like 5 months. I probably met them once face to face, but online, oh my gosh, they were just, I mean, it was post after post after post. I would go to sleep for 6, 7 hours, wake up, and I'd be over 1,000 posts behind.
Of them calling for violence?
Just spewing whatever.
Just nonsense.
I mean, just nonsense,
crazy stuff.
anti-Semitic, just all kinds of stuff. Or maybe there's been a mass shooting, and maybe they're either praising the person because they killed so many, or they're blasting them because they only got one shot off, and then their gun malfunctioned, and
they got shot or something,
and they didn't have the skill set.
Right.
They said, you should have trained more. But like that case in particular, we just ended it. I mean, there was nothing to lock anybody up on, and the case team was kind of non-committed, and so you just let that one go. But the main one that's in the book is a group called The Base, and The Base was openly recruiting. They were posting on Gab, which is in Telegram. There's these applications, that you can go to, and I don't want to say that everybody on those is doing nefarious stuff, but
they're more closed systems, and there's not. If I understand correctly, they don't record or store as much of the information or something like that.
Or they say it's encrypted.
Oh, right.
Or,
okay. Yeah.
Or they are, this is encrypted talk, or they are based overseas. And so somebody here thinks, well, the feds can't get subpoenas over there and get that information.
Right.
And sometimes they're right. We can't, So maybe you do an undercover.
Right.
But yeah, so they were openly recruiting. And I mean, like I said, I don't want to say it was all nefarious activity, but people who want to do some bad stuff do go on there. I mean, you've got a group called Whites Only. I wonder who's going to be in there.
Right, exactly.
There's a chance we could see some swastikas.
Yeah. Yeah.
14 words, which is very, very popular in the white supremacy culture.
14 words? What is that?
It was coined by David Lane, a white supremacist. I don't have it memorized anymore because I don't infiltrate white supremacists anymore. But it's something to the effect of we must secure the future and the existence of the white race, kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But if you
kind of like a motto or a credo or something.
14. Yeah, it's 14 words.
Got
so
it.
anytime you see that, like you see 14/88. So 14 refers to the 14 words.
Right.
88 is the eighth letter of the alphabet. Is H. Heil Hitler.
Oh, got it. Okay.
I mean, there's all kinds. Even the biker world does stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hell's Angel 81.
Okay.
HA.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Oh, that's interesting. So yeah, you'd go in and like with the base, for example. Are they still operating?
I just saw an article posted by The Guardian, and it looks like the leader, Ronaldo Nazário, is trying to boost it back up. But he took a beating within the community.
Oh, why?
Community. Like I'm talking like
like it's like a virtuous, high end.
In the world of hate,
right?
He's trying to because the base got infiltrated and he kind of got mocked a lot
for slipping up.
By other groups, but that's what they do. I mean, there may be people that see this and be posting, oh, he's a Fed and he's whatever, there's always going to be stuff like that. But pretty much they went defunct,
right?
Because we took down even if we didn't arrest everybody that was in the group, you scare them away kind of, or they at least change their moniker and go to another group and say, we're done with this.
Right.
Or there are those that are in there that still have the hate in their heart, but they were not planning on killing people. And they were like, this is going too far. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm building my kit. I'm ready for the D-Day. I'm ready for the race war. I'm ready for the collapse of society. I'm not going to do anything, but when it happens, I'm ready.
Right.
Kind of thing, you know. When it's officially purge rules, you know.
There's a lot. I've even heard people, just conservatives who I think are generally good people, you know, that you'll hear something about, I don't know, Civil War, for example. They're like, you tell me when we're going. And I'm like, if you were really serious, you would go. You're not waiting for other people to do stuff.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Not that I'm advocating for it by any means.
I love the doomsday prepper stuff because I just my brain, and I mean, I've got friends that, you know, they've got like 2 underground condos or whatever with water systems, and we can last for 6 months to a year. I'm like, I don't want to. I don't.
I'm good. I'm out.
I'm like, I don't. Tell me where it's going to hit. Give me a rough time frame so I know whether I got enough time to smoke a brisket or just throw some chicken on there real quick, have a couple of drinks, and then let it go. I've joked with like even my family members. They're like, oh, I'm prepared. I'm doing that. I'm like, what are you going to do when you run out of medicine?
Right. Exactly.
And they're like, ugh. And I'm like, there's only so many pharmacies you can rob.
And they're all will already be robbed.
Yeah, already be robbed, yeah. And if you think like a bad person, you see all these people please stock up all your food, stock up all your weapons.
Just take your stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's all right there for me.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you setting it up. Appreciate you.
Do you feel like, when you said thinking like a bad guy, do you feel like there was ever time where the lines between your real life and your undercover life or work you happen to be doing started to blur, or you started to have it impact you in a negative way personally?
Boy, there's a lot of answers in that question. Different ways I can go. For me, when I was doing undercover, I was always pretty close to who I really am. Because the way I was taught and the way I teach is if you are pretending to be something that's completely opposite of what you are for a long period of time, usually 1 or 2 things is going to happen. You're either going to slip up and get caught,
right,
or you're going to become it. And neither one of those are good.
Yeah.
Crossing the line, no. I mean, the line's blurred. Am I really a bad guy? No, but I'm human.
Right.
And even with all the training in the world, you find yourself in there. Sometimes you're really bonding with people and you generally feel sorry, you know, or you feel bad because you're going to be betraying these.
You have some like new level of empathy for bad people, essentially.
Yeah. And I guess I'm not big on dehumanizing people. I didn't realize it till I was doing the book. I mean, I never heard it termed that way or coined that way. And it was my literary agents, because they're like, somebody like my co-writer would be writing, like, hey, and then these idiots and blah, blah, blah.
You're like, hold on.
Yeah, we don't need to call them idiots. And they're like, what? I go, I just, number one, let's go from the writer's world. Does this really help sell the book?
Right.
You know, and I'm not, number one, I don't want to make them angry to come after, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's still a person. Other than pedophiles, generally in my career, if I would arrest somebody, I'd sit them down and I'd say, listen, I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm not saying I disagree with what you did. I'm saying you're an adult and you made the choice to break the law and you got caught.
Right.
So let's just start right here. Let's don't do the whole dating game where you lie to me for 2 months and I lie to you for 2 months. And then I'm like, I kind of like you. And you're like, I kind of like you too. And then we tell each other the truth. Let's just be truthful from the start. But as far as losing myself, no, I wouldn't say that. But were there times where I was getting a lot more aggressive because I'm hanging around 1%er bikers and we like to fight? Yeah.
Right.
Do I want to say I had less control, but I had less rules. I mean, technically I had all kinds of rules, right? But,
sure.
But you're hanging out with people.
World.
Yeah, you're hanging out with people that there's really no rules. You just fight. I mean, we could smash that dude right now. So when I come home and somebody bumps into me at a bar or starts some,
Yeah.
you can start slipping like that. But that's in law enforcement in general. I mean, a lot of people don't know because they haven't walked not even a mile. They haven't walked 2 steps in the shoes of a law enforcement officer. I'm like, do you know how often uniform patrol shows up and everybody's excited they're
Yeah.
there?
Never.
I said, it's very rare.
Right.
At least in my experience, it's usually get out of my house.
That's why
F
people like
you.
firefighters more than they like police
Exactly.
officers.
But now they're getting attacked.
Yeah, I know.
I'm an alert instructor. It's the national standard for training law enforcement in active shooter response. And there's an integrated school we do, and we do it with fire and medic, and run big scenarios on, like, say it's like a Pulse nightclub reenactment or Virginia Tech, and now we've got to get those people to a higher level of medical care, and you got rescued. So we all work together, but they're all showing up in vests. I mean, they're kitted up, and I'm like, are you guys ridiculous? Yeah, man, we get shot at. I'm like, people are rusing. I mean, it's out there.
Yeah.
But people are rusing, lying to get them there and ambush them. And I'm
Oh,
like,
they're
what the hell's
ambushing
wrong
them.
with you?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, well, what are you going to do when there's a real fire?
Right.
And now you really need help. Let's go look at the, the Kyle Rittenhouse thing. Terrible situation. Do I think the kid should have been down there with a gun? Probably
No,
not.
of course not. Yeah.
But was it a deadly force situation? Did he take a brick to that and then they're swinging a skateboard at him? But what's the first thing the guy who's one of the guys attacking him, when he sees his bicep blown off, he's there to defund the police, setting stuff on fire. I hate whatever. First thing he yells, yeah,
Yeah.
somebody call the police.
Yep.
I'm like, really?
Nah, we're good.
Now?
I heard about this.
It just got real.
Yeah.
I don't have a bicep anymore.
Right. That changes my opinion a little bit.
I completely regret the decision I just made.
I heard about something that was happening more and more recently. I think they call it swatting.
Yes.
Where so tell me if I understand this correctly. Let's say I have a political difference with a neighbor, and then I would call that neighbor in and report that place is engaged in illegal behavior, hoping that SWAT would come in with the anticipation of creating an incident or something.
A little bit. It's
Okay.
a little bit more involved in that, especially now because they're spoofing phone numbers and stuff like that.
Oh.
A lot of the ones that I saw in the beginning were like gaming, so they're playing audio of gunfire and stuff, so that
So SWAT comes out.
So responding cops
Right.
think there's actually a shooting going on. That's the swatting stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Spoofing numbers and I need help. That somebody's in here. They got me. They kidnapped me. That kind of thing. And then the SWAT team shows up.
That is wild.
I know.
Because not only do you guys as law enforcement have to worry about the situation, now you have to worry about, is this actually a situation?
Yeah.
It's no longer, it's a situation, we're going to deal with it. We don't even know if it's real or not.
For most of the part that I've seen before I retired, and even now, because I'm still involved in instructing and stuff like that, but most are just going to call outs, man. I mean, it's just the days of smashing a door and going in. I mean, it still happens.
Right.
But from what I've seen, you're more experienced, higher trained. They're surrounded and called. They're ready.
Right. They can,
and
if
they
they need
gas
to.
and everything, but it's a lot. It's safer.
Well, and not to mention just the public scrutiny over the past handful of years with, what's that one woman who got shot on exercising a search warrant or something? I can't remember the exact details.
Yeah, it was North Carolina.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. Anyways,
yeah,
stuff like that where
Brianna.
Yeah. Where it's your actions are a lot more scrutinized, and then you've got video cameras on everything. People have professional video cameras in their pockets at all times. It's pretty rough, man. But I also see police officers who, I watched a video the other day. The officer completely lost his cool. Didn't do anything other than, just yell at the guy, and he was completely unprofessional. But I'm like, dude, I actually can't blame him. I imagine he's feeling that way. He's like, I'm 14 months from retirement. I hate this and I hate that. I'm like, yeah. 20 years, I imagine you would be a little irritated, to put it mildly.
And to go back what you were asking about and we were talking about earlier, you can start getting a skewed vision just because you're doing. I mean, the training's there, but again, human nature. People are human. you get spit at, cussed at, disrespected 8 hours plus a day, and then you get off of work, and you get to the point to where, at least I've seen it, and I did it myself. But you start looking at somebody, hey, that's a piece of trash. That's a piece of trash. Now you're off duty, technically, but you're not in uniform, and you see somebody that kind of resembles that. Now you're saying that's a piece of trash, and you carry your work home with you.
How could you
and
not?
It can destroy the family. It can do all kinds of stuff. And usually, when I teach or speak, one of the last things I'll say is, I'm like, look, man, first responders, law enforcement, medic, fire, military, we're number one. We're number one in suicide. Cops are killing themselves right and left.
Yeah.
Right and left. Number one in suicide, number one in divorce. We're number one in alcoholism. You can throw pills and other stuff in there now. And we're also number one to die within 5 years after retiring.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you lose a lot of your identity. You know, you're doing something for decades of your life, and all of a sudden, you're not doing that anymore.
Or you don't realize the pressure cooker you're in every day and what the toll is taking on you.
Right.
Until it's over. And then it's too late.
And then it's just too much at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. When you were talking about running around with 1%ers or these neo-Nazis, I hope this is a fair question. I want to ask, but were you engaged in illegal activity personally in order to be part of the group? Yeah. Plead the fifth? I don't know.
No. The argument's always tradecraft. I don't want to give away tradecraft because there's still people doing undercover work. Right?
Sure, yeah.
And I know what that feels like, to be undercover and have the bad people tell you to read a book about a former undercover federal agent. And I'm like, all right. So I'm reading it and I'm going, holy crap, there's a lot of stuff in here that we can't. I mean, you're letting everybody know what we can't do.
Right.
So
they know the rules.
Yeah, and if they don't believe you, right? I mean, if they don't trust you, or your backstory's not believable or good, they can test you.
Right.
You're going to be scrutinized probably anyway, right?
Sure.
If they're worth their salt,
Yeah.
I love the ones. You get the ones that are like, now I've been in prison and I know the legal mumbo jumbo. If I ask you a cop, you got to tell me.
Which is not true.
Not true at all.
You can lie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually didn't know that until relatively recently.
They go, are you a
I was
cop?
like, wait, cops can lie.
They go, are you a cop? I go, F no, are you? No?
Yeah.
Well, all right, let's do business. And I'm like, well, that was easy.
Yeah.
That was good.
You're like, by the way, keep telling everybody else that too, okay?
Yeah, I know. Who knew? So you used to ask about criminal activity. Not to give away tradecraft, but there would be things that we can do that make it look like we're doing illegal activity, but you're just bolstering yourself. Or look, in my experience, the favorite color is green. Greed wins in the criminal world. So if they're making money, generally they'll let things slide,
Right?
because they're making money. But yeah, for instance, with the 1%er, I was in the case was against the Outlaws Motorcycle Club. But my part in it was about 2 years. But
2 years you were with them?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So the first illegal activity we were doing is they were reporting their vehicle stolen and getting the insurance money, scamming
Insurance fraud.
But they were selling me at a stolen price the vehicles.
Oh, got it. So they were collecting the insurance payment, and then they were selling
to me
for a discounted rate or whatever.
Yeah, for a stolen rate. Usually.
Why were they selling to you? Were you a buyer or what?
Yeah, okay. My story in that case was that I was. Eventually, I had a legit reason to be where I was at, but the criminal part is they believed that I was a high-ranking member of an international theft ring, and I was based on the border of Mexico, and I was just speaking the truth. I mean, the cartel loved 4x4 V8s.
So you'd buy trucks for cheap, ship them down to Mexico. Was the story?
Yeah,
right.
Or trade them for whatever.
Yeah,
guns, dope, whatever.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And then so they start to, in this case, start to develop a relationship with you, build some trust, and bring you in on more, or what?
Yes,
what does that look like?
For that case in particular, then they carjack somebody, at gunpoint, steal a car.
So now it's getting serious.
They're like, hey, we got to get rid of this one. They called me Tex because I was from Texas. Not a far stretch.
You could
How did you get the name?
Yeah.
I know.
It's like, that's clever.
Because I'm from Texas. But yeah, they say, hey, Tex, we need to get rid of this vehicle. And it's got whatever, OnStar, low jack, whatever it was at the time. I'm like, don't worry about it. We'll get rid of it. And then they would go steal trucks off a lot.
Because they knew that you could
roll
take
up with
it.
an F-350, they just pop the steering wheel. That you got to be careful with because am I directing them to go steal cars off the lot?
Yeah, because then it starts to look as an entrapment type thing.
Right.
And yeah, sure.
And in the undercover world, using the undercover technique, generally, if you're doing your wherewithal, the evidence is so overwhelming. Only thing the defense can really do is either claim entrapment or try to make you look like a piece of trash on the stand.
Right. So just undermine your credibility.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Because the evidence is like I said. Hell, how can you? That's you. That's you.
Right
that's
there.
you.
So what was the evidence? I mean, the evidence isn't just simply you saying I saw this. Like, there's actually got to be hard evidence.
Yeah, you report a vehicle stolen, you sell it to me, and we got
You
that
have the
car.
vehicle.
Yeah, we got that. Motorcycle, stuff like that. Buy dope from them, things like that. Or just gathering recordings.
Right.
If your reports are well written, you can go back on those 5 years later and they'll stand on their own. But a recording is going to be much better. Right?
Audio, video.
Yeah, audio, video.
Like wearing a wire, that type of thing.
Yep.
Was that something that these guys, when they were engaged in this behavior, like really skeptical of or really aware of, a wire and audio and that sort of thing?
Again, it depends on the target.
Yeah.
But like the Outlaws, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There was a pretty scary incident about 1.5 years in with them. I've been, again, with them for 1.5 years, doing all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we were up in the ante. The FBI was up in the ante, and we were going to do a drug protection.
What is that, drug protection?
Well, they were gonna help guard and make sure nothing happened to a drug shipment while we handed it to another.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So, but because we upped the ante, the night before the deal, they had me come to the clubhouse.
The Outlaws did?
Yeah, I came to the clubhouse, and they took me down in the basement and stripped me at gunpoint, looking for a wire. Whoa. After 1.5 years being with them.
Right.
What we found out is that it had gone up the chain of the Outlaws, and the top was like, hey, has this guy been checked? And they were like, look, man, we've done 8 jobs with this guy. We're not in bracelets, handcuffs.
Right.
He said, still check them. So,
whoa.
And it wouldn't have been a problem if I wasn't wired, but I was wired.
Oh, you were wired?
Oh, I was wired, yeah.
So what happened?
Missed it by that much. Yeah.
You didn't have, I don't understand.
They didn't find it.
They didn't find, where was it?
So tradecraft, right?
Yeah,
I won't give it away, but
Fair enough.
I had an audio video recorder in some of my clothing.
Got it. Okay.
I had another strictly audio device. I like to have backup because if one craps the bed,
Sure.
or you can't run video 24/7 because it'll eat the whole battery life.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's way better now. Just
sure.
In 10, 20 years than it was.
Get your cell phone.
Right, exactly.
Could record something like that.
And hours of it.
Right, yeah.
And great battery life. So, yeah, I know. Come on. Why go to all the trouble of hiding all this stuff? You got a cell phone in your hand.
Exactly.
You're like, I don't know why I didn't think of that.
So
I'm such an idiot.
I can't imagine what you must have been feeling in the moment.
Shit and gold bricks.
Because they would have killed you.
People ask, I don't know. I would imagine if you asked them today, they would probably slow walk and be like, no, we'd let him go.
Yeah,
or
right.
I don't know whether I'd have got my ass beat or shot.
Yeah.
I did look for plastic on the floor, because I saw a rope. And even
plastic. What do you mean? Like a plastic sheet?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, in that world. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I had to explain that to somebody.
No, it took me a second
No,
to
you
register.
you got it. But I did another interview and I had to explain. They're like, I don't understand. And I go, well, let me just say this: if you're ever in a deteriorating situation and somebody's telling you to spread plastic all over the floor, or you walk into a room and it's covered in plastic,
you're done.
that's not a good sign.
Right.
You watch a mafia movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go swimming with the fishes.
So you, but
Concrete shoes.
there was a rope there in there.
Yeah, clothesline. Oddly
Right.
enough, is the road name of the guy that did it to me. He was the enforcer. But he even makes a joke. He's like, clothesline you. And I'm like, you know, it's not funny.
You're like, I'm not
I
laughing
don't
right
like
now.
this anymore. I want to go home. Or I could have just said, look, listen, I'm an FBI agent. This is too much. I mean,
Oh man.
but what happened?
Did that run cross your mind?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm gonna just out myself right here.
Yes. But a type A personality. We're sitting there going, I'm going to get the evidence. I'm going to do this. I can make it through this kind of thing, you know. And even as an undercover coordinator, which is there's an undercover coordinator in every field office of the FBI. I was one. So you're hopefully it's a seasoned person,
Right.
knows a lot about the policies and everything. You're the front line. You're the liaison to headquarters for the division or field office. But like you could be looking and going, like if you're a younger undercover, I might look at it and go, hey, that's too dangerous. You're not going to do that. We're not going to, no. That, in my opinion, I say no.
You're not doing it. You're not ready. That sort of thing.
Or it's just too dangerous.
Right.
But a lot of me and my peers and my mentors, we're looking at it going, but I can do it.
I would do it.
Yeah. You're like, well, but you just said it's very dangerous. Yeah, it is.
Oh,
But I can do it.
man.
I got this. So what happened is they call me to the clubhouse. I get there, and the president, Joe Doggs, is like, "Oh, we're still having church." Which, for the listeners that don't know, biker clubs, a lot of them have a mandatory weekly meeting, and they refer to that as church.
That's church. Is their club meeting.
Yeah. So he's like, "We still having church," and I'm like, I was kind of a smart ass. I'm like, "Why'd you even have me come over here? Why tell me to come over here if you're not even ready?" We get something to eat, a couple of drinks, come back. And they call me in. And I'm just doing what I normally do. But I knew that the United States Attorney's Office would love it if they were, of their own free will, talking about this drug protection inside the clubhouse. Because it just helps.
And it ties everything together.
And I said, yeah, man. I mean, because that's what we do. I'm going in there, going to get evidence. Cool. So I go in there, and we're just going back and forth. I'm cracking jokes like I normally do, but what I couldn't see, because the video device would show later, I'm looking at you like this, and I'm cracking a joke, but then I would turn my head. So you're still being filmed, but I can't see you. And it would be like, when I'm looking at you, you're laughing, right? But as soon as I turn my head, you go stone face.
Oh, because you know that guy is something.
They're getting ready. They know they all know. I'm pretty sure it was the topic of their church meeting. We're getting ready to take texts and checking. So I get Clothesline, who's supposed to be a very good friend of mine, probably the second close relationship in that case. Says, hey, Tex, you got a minute? And I'm like, yeah. I've been in that clubhouse, I can't tell you how many times.
Sure.
There's only one door I'd never been in, and that was the door we went in.
One down to the basement.
And it was very tight, dark, stairwell. I couldn't stand. I'm 6'4", but I mean, I couldn't stand up straight. Right. I'm like leaning over. I could probably touch the wall on both sides. In other words, it's really adding to the tunnel vision.
Right.
The
walls are literally closing.
Yeah, you're like,
you.
yeah. I'm like, I don't like this. I want to go home.
Oh, no.
But I come down there, and he's like, hey, there's a lot of shit going on, and it's my job to take care of my brothers. He said, I need you to take all your clothes off. He goes, I want you to write down your full name, your address. I think he said, I'm not going to ask you to write down your kids' names, but not like we couldn't get them if we wanted to. And I'm like, and at this point, I'm having this whole crap moment. I'm having the adrenaline dump.
Right.
And then he says, I need you to take all your clothes off. I'm checking you for a wire. And I'm like, holy shit, man. Because, again, from a fighter standpoint, I'm down in a hole. I mean, a basement would be that's stretching it a bit. It's more like a little cellar.
Really? Yeah.
And even if I would have tried to fight my way out, they've got guns. They've already shown me their guns. There's one on the steps to keep me. And then upstairs is 10 plus more outlaws.
Yeah, you might be able to take that guy, but you're not taking everybody.
And then there's the door to the clubhouse, which is dead bolted, and more than one deadbolt. They've got a steel bar across it. I think it was a steel frame, so it's it's a pretty hard door to get through. Harder than a regular door, right? I because of the oh crap moment, I forgot my middle name. But it's me. I mean, I made the alias. I
Right.
know it. I know it backwards and forwards. I've
Right.
been Scott Calloway forever. But because of the stress of the situation and that oh crap moment, I forgot my middle name. And so I'm going through this Rolodex in my head. I'm going Scott Calloway, Scott Calloway, Scott Calloway, Scott. I'm like, Scott Joseph Calloway. I'm like, nope, damn it. That was the middle name of my other alias, you know?
Whoa.
So, and everything's ticking, right? Slowing down. That adrenaline dump. You're getting the auditory exclusion is going whoosh, whoosh, slow. And time dilation with your eyes. Everything you look is going click, click. I tell people, like, have you ever been in a car wreck? Like that first car, I mean, I remember I'm doing the steering wheel like this.
So just slow.
So slow, and the car's going 360s, and I'm like, whoa, you know? And it probably all happened in 10 seconds,
Right.
you know?
Right.
But, so that's going on. And then I remember my middle name, because I remember my initials. I was being funny because my initials were SAC, which is the head of an FBI field office.
Okay.
I thought it was funny because I knew I'd never be one. you
Yeah.
know? I was like, I'm SAC.
I thought I was going to have to do something with SAC or something like that.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's a whole sidebar, but just think about this. We'll jump right back into the basement, but think about this. In the FBI, you've got the director. Under the director, you have an assistant director, but the acronym is ADIC.
Oh, yeah.
And under the ADIC is a SAC,
Yeah.
SAC.
Yep.
Under the SAC is ASAC. And under that is an SSA, which backwards spells ass. And I'm like,
It's very fitting.
was somebody playing a joke on J. Edgar Hoover? I'm like, come on, man.
That's funny.
I'm like, I've got that sense of humor. I'd have been like, that's funny. But so back to the basement. I'm down there. I remember my middle name. I write it down. And I don't even know that I do like a distraction technique. Is it picking up good?
Yeah, no, we're good. I just wanted to make sure.
When I was going through the Rolodex in my head, I have no idea I did this. But it's just like I can show you video tactically of officers and shootings. They have no idea how many bullets they shot. They have no idea that they took effective cover.
Yeah.
And did a magazine exchange.
That training, right?
But they trained it so much it's instinctive, right? Some people call it muscle memory, but you train it so it becomes instinctive. And that's really, it was all the what ifs and role playing at the undercover school and shooting the breeze with other undercovers. When I was trying to remember my name, I turn and I go, and what else do you need? I'm like, my name and what else? I had no idea I said that.
Really?
I would have never believed it.
You were just trying to delay. I mean,
yeah, I would have never.
instinctively.
Yeah, I would have never known. If I didn't hear the recording and see it, I would have never known I said that, and I probably would have denied it.
Did that buy you some time? Or
Yes,
is that what it did?
and it also got me intelligence because I'm listening, and they yell up, "Hey, probate, what do you need for that website?" So I'm like, "Oh, okay." Now they're just Googling me, and back then there was a big thing called who'sarat.com.
Oh,
you go
really?
on that, and like people they try to out narcs and stuff like that.
Right. Okay.
So I remember my middle name. And I write that down, and then I take off. I take off my jacket. I don't remember how many shirts I had on. It was cold, so I probably had some layers on. Took all that off. Took my boots off. I pulled my jeans and underwear down around my ankles, and that's as far as I went. I didn't take my pants off, but I mean, hell, I'm naked from the ankles up.
Yeah.
Right. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
You're right there
Hey.
in all your glory.
I know. And let's just say it was cold. No.
He's like, it wasn't that cold.
I mean, it was freezing in there. The fear factor probably had something else to do with
just
that.
everything
too,
just shrivels up. I'm sure of it.
I'm like, I tell people when I'm showing the video, I'm like, did you hear that? They're like, what? Did you hear that sound? I go, that was my ass sucking the air out of the room.
Just
you know,
puckered right up.
I laugh now, but at the time I was scared.
I bet
to
you
death.
weren't.
So he searches me, and I think I'm done. But by the way, if you hear the recording of this and see the video, you can hear, you've got a baseline of me talking now. I do not sound like this.
Really?
Because it's the stress.
Super nervous.
Oh man, my
speed elevation.
My voice is clearly higher.
Higher, yeah.
My throat's tighter. I'm talking through my nose because I'm not even enunciating. Yeah. I'm not even enunciating the words because I'm like, you know. So I think I'm done. And right about that time, he grabs a piece of my clothing, and it happens to be the clothing that has a recording device in it. And again, this is around 2005 to 2008. So again, now technology is even way farther than that. But let's just say the device I was using, if you were doing this to
You
the
could
clothing,
feel it.
you're going to feel it. At least the actual recording part. And right when he grabs it, he's kind of joking with me because, again, we were supposed to be friends.
Yeah.
But, we're going back and forth and talking while this is happening to me. And he says, look, he goes, wouldn't you be suspect if somebody came into your town and started doing all this stuff with you? I said, yeah, if they came up to me. I said, I didn't come up to you. You guys called me. I'm like, nobody has to do anything. You don't want to do anything, I'm not forcing anybody to do anything. And that sounded a lot clearer than I did on the recording.
Sounds a lot cooler now.
Yeah, it sounds cooler now. I'm like, I probably was like, hey, you guys don't have to do nothing if you don't want to.
He's like, what's wrong with you? It's like, I got a cold, all right?
You guys got anything to drink? He even tells me, he goes, trust me, if somebody accused me of being a Fed, I'd smash them in the fucking mouth, And I'm like, but I remember, I didn't even know I was, but I responded. I let him know because when he said to me, I go, I'm not happy. And he goes, I wouldn't be either. So I think I'm done. And then he grabs this piece of clothing and he says, hey, I'm not going to find anything in here I don't want to, right? Like some naked pictures of my old lady. And he laughs. And of course, my laugh is like, I'm like, ugh. Again, I don't know I'm doing it. I say again, as if you know the story. I apologize. I've been telling it a lot. I'm saying again to me, what happens is I'm watching him knead and go over this piece of clothing. I don't even know I did it. It's an audible sigh. You can hear it clearly on the recording. As I'm watching him standing there, I got my jeans back on, but no shirt, so I'm watching him, I'm going, you hear that clearly across and I'm like, oh, mother of all that's holy. And he missed it. He missed it. And he says, I'm sorry, I get asked all the time, and you kind of led with this. What would you have said if they found it? Well, because of my stupid sense of humor and because of the bone he threw me, had he felt something and said, what is this? My first response probably would have been, I don't know, some naked pictures of your old lady.
Right.
Of course it wouldn't have come off that cool, I'm sure. I don't know, it's making me. Start sucking my thumb.
Yeah, totally.
Hit the fetal position. But the only other thing I had to say in my head, and I remember it just like it was yesterday, is I was going to say the gig's up. I'm an undercover FBI agent, and I can walk out of here and we can see each other in court, or all hell's going to break loose. The issue with that statement would be that I would have been bluffing. At least I believed I would have been bluffing because, to my knowledge, every time I was in that clubhouse, my team couldn't hear me. Based on the equipment we had in those years.
Right.
And it would have been a bluff. Now, can you fight your way out? I probably would have pulled a Chris Farley and knocked myself out on the joist as soon as I started swinging, like bam, son of a, hit the ground. Black Hawk down. I'm down. Save yourself. It's too late for me. Tell my wife and kids I love them. Clearly I played this out in my head a few times.
I'm sure you did.
But what I found out that night when I turned in my equipment, total adrenaline high. I didn't sleep at all. If I slept, it might have been 30 minutes.
I can't imagine.
I'm just like, the after effects.
Dumped. Yeah.
And then it comes 3 hours later when you realize how dangerous it was, and all of a sudden you go, oh, shit, But I go to hand in my equipment to my case team, which essentially the entire case, it was an FBI case agent who was actually a good friend of mine. We went through the academy together, and 2 task force officers. One of them was Sergeant Higginbottom from Massachusetts State Troopers.
Right.
And there was Detective Joe Cummings from Brockton Police.
Okay.
So that was the core team, me and those 3. And that night, the start of the shift was the 2 task force officers. It was Joe and Higgy. And what I found out when I turned in my equipment was something in that initial interaction with Joe Dogs made their spotty senses go off. And they were like, something just doesn't feel right.
Wow.
And they had pulled close enough and they had heard everything.
Oh, so they knew you were down there and what was going on.
What they told me, the way it was told to me is they immediately radioed back to everybody else in Boston saying, hey, because this was in Taunton, Massachusetts. And they're like, hey, they got Scott in the basement, man, and they're stripping him and he's wired. So everybody's hauling ass with blue lights and sirens. coming to Taunton. And they had been in there because as state and local, they had been in that clubhouse, so they knew the door was pretty fortified.
Right.
Their plan, Joe and Higgy's plan, was to drive the van that they ran into the cinder block wall right beside the door. It was right beside the frame.
Just smash it.
Yeah, just breach the wall around the door instead of the door. Again, they had vested up and they were ready. But there's so much that goes into that because they had gotten to know me over that last year and a half. And
the club now, is that what you're talking about?
No, the task force officers.
Okay,
the
got
task
it.
force officers, because they're listening to me panicking. Right?
Yeah, so they know that
they're listening to me and they're going,
some
"Oh,
serious stuff."
But they could have pulled the trigger. We could have ended the case right there. And I'm not saying by any means any case is worth somebody's health, mental health, family.
Sure.
Yeah, none of that. Let that crap go. And the older you get, the wiser you should get, and the wiser you are, the safer you should be. Right.
Right.
And sometimes safe ain't sexy, but they didn't. You just go to Walmart, whatever, pay by the minute. You know, I learned about how to use them from bad people. Well, I mean, from targets. You know? So I used it for undercovers back in the day. But I bought my wife one so I could contact that phone from my undercover phone.
Got it.
Because you don't want crisscrossing.
No way.
Especially in today's time. Good gravy. Somebody could track you.
Oh yeah,
it's just poor operational security.
Yeah, and you're just putting everybody else at risk.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So I would call her every night during that outlaw case, and I don't care if it's 5 a.m, 7 a.m. I'm on my way back to the hotel. I call her, and she had the phone right by her bed, and I'd just say, "Hey." Sometimes she'd just say hello, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm going to the hotel. Just want you to know I'm done for the day, and I'll call you later." Sometimes we'd talk. That night when I called her, the first thing she said was, "Are you okay?"
Did she know something was up?
I'll get there.
Okay.
She says, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" She said, "I was driving with our girls tonight in McAllen, Texas, and at such and such time, I got this overwhelming feeling, and I pulled over on the side of the road and started praying for you."
Whoa.
Well, I looked at the time. It's when I was in the basement.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And she's at the bottom of Texas on the border, McAllen. I'm in Boston. That's not a phone call. But apparently my oh shit signal helped me.
Yeah.
Goes a long way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that was pretty intense, man.
Yeah.
Pretty intense. But I passed, lived to fight another day. The next day we did the drug protection, 40 kilos of real cocaine and 1,000 pounds of weed, which really today.
Not that much, yeah. So and then you did another 6 months with them, roughly, give or take.
Yeah.
But by then, was there a less heat then, or less skepticism on their part after that night? Or is it just more the same? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah. I mean, I passed that test, but even say I'm in with Taunton and Brockton and all these people know me, and maybe they're not scrutinizing me anymore, but you go to a regional run or you go to
they
a
don't
world
know you.
run. I mean, I've this close to another president talking to Joe Dog saying, "Who the F is this guy? And what's he doing in Massachusetts?"
Oh, yeah.
And so the more people you meet, it's just more scrutiny.
More of it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So you better know who you are.
Well, I mean, the point that you made about not drifting so far away from who you are, that persona, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, and I've got friends, actors and stuff. I've actually done some, I've been on set, armor, tactics, weapons, all that stuff. I actually got a cameo in the thing, but I've watched my friends put on training for acting and stuff. And a lot of it lines up with undercover. It's like,
I'm sure.
I mean, just going and doing a casting call. Don't go in there and try to take my accent and start talking like a New Yorker.
Right.
That's not, just read it like you.
Right.
You know, if they maybe you're not right for that part, but they're thinking of another part down the road. But for me, it was easier just to stay close to myself, with the exception of, like I was going to say earlier, with the exception of like a pedophile. Or murder for hire. Because this is the thing. If you're hiring me to kill somebody, I'm probably not going to be hanging out with you a lot. Probably don't need to ingratiate that much because I'm a killer. You're hiring me to kill somebody.
Right.
Or if I'm the person providing you the bomb to go blow up a house, or I'm giving you the gun so you can go shoot up the synagogue. I'm probably not super friendly there, but for the most part, I'm still me.
Right.
May or may not be married, going to college, played ball, be a musician and singer, maybe none of that, but you pretty much bet I work out and ride motorcycles.
Yeah,
most
same
likely.
personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever have any thoughts about retaliation now on the back end of it?
Yeah, I mean, you got to
And you're also
always.
public too. It's not like you're
Yeah.
not talking about these things.
Should have thought about that. Huh? Damn it. Yeah. They're on to me.
Yeah. Well, I think they probably are at this point. They weren't before.
Listen, the thing about undercover work is you are building relationships that you're going to betray, and it actually sucks if you look at it that way. And that's the true definition. It's terrible. I mean, you got to know how you're going to deal with that and rationalize it to where it doesn't have an adverse impact on you and your psyche, right? But in a criminal world, not necessarily the I Spy foreign counterintelligence world, because those cases tend to go on and some of them never get taken down kind of thing, because it's intelligence based. We're not putting cuffs on people. But in the criminal world, which is pretty much 99.9% of the cases I did, what happens is you're going to get arrested. I may get arrested with you. There's all kinds of different ways to do takedowns.
Sure, yeah.
But eventually you're going to be sitting with your defense attorney and you're going to have discovery. And that's supposed to be everything. So you're going to hear the recording and you're going to know that I'm the undercover because I've got a preamble on it. Hey, this is UCE 1234. It's March whatever. Time is this, Eastern Standard Time. I'm going in to meet. And then you got the recording. So they're going to know at some point. They may not have known my last name in real life, but then again, that's the undercover world. But as a law enforcement officer, Sam, I mean, I'm not infiltrating and betraying, but you lock people up.
Right.
Now they're out and you see them at the grocery store when you're with your family, especially on a local
You've
level.
had that happen?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. So what do? You know? I mean, you got to think about it.
Yeah, it's wild to think about.
Or like you're in a place getting ready to order something to eat and the guy says, "Hey, Officer Payne," and you're like, "Oh man, how you doing?"
I know this guy. Oh,
I just got out. I did whatever 5-10 years. Remember when you arrested me? And I'm like, probably shouldn't eat here.
yeah, probably done here now.
Are we cool? You like me? If I were you, I'd probably be pissed at me.
Oh,
if
for
it's
sure.
fair,
For sure.
Yeah, I try to be nice, like I said earlier, not dehumanize. There's always a danger. There's always a chance for retaliation. I try not to walk around in fear.
Yeah.
But I don't walk around blind. And I have a plan. But many.
And I imagine your wife has a plan too, and she's integrated into this to some degree.
To some degree.
Right.
Because she's not law enforcement.
Right, exactly.
She's not military. She's not she's got on the job training just from being married to me.
Yeah.
How
long have you guys been married?
20, damn it. Hang on.
Oh, I shouldn't ask you that.
24.
Okay. So was she with you when you were just regular police officer, no undercover stuff?
No.
Okay.
When we started dating, I was already a vice narcotics officer.
Oh, okay.
So we laugh, and that's in the book too, but we laugh. Our conversations when we were dating would be like, because she was in the Colorado, Nebraska region. So she's 2 hours behind me. I'm in South Carolina. Right. And I'd get off at midnight or whatever and call. And she'd be like, "So what'd you do today?" I picked up a couple of hookers and bought some cocaine,
The only excuse where she's like, "Yeah, that's fine," and doesn't have a problem with it.
She told her dad, and he's an old cowboy, and he's like, she's like, "Yeah, what's he do? He gets heroin and cocaine and what? Get the shotgun."
Yeah, for sure.
Wait.
You gotta be more careful of her dad than the guys you're dealing with on a daily basis.
Right. Yeah, you're like, he's out there roping me, dragging me behind the horse. It was for the job.
Oh man, that's wild. Are you so you were in law enforcement for what? Almost 30 years.
28.
28 years. You're still involved in some training, it sounds like, but do you miss the field side of it?
I think the number one thing I miss is flying armed. I hope that changes.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I hope they look and let's don't give it to everybody just because you're former cop, former military. But if you have these certifications, and you can qualify. And
Is that on the docket? I hadn't even heard of this.
I don't know, but it should be.
I mean, the way you're saying it, I was like, oh, did I miss
I
something?
know. I think they're talking about, like, they're starting to open up now and say, if you've got a conceal and carry, you can conceal carry in any state.
Oh, yeah.
They're starting to do stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I kind of hope it goes to that, but that's just me being selfish because I'd like to have a gun.
Well, it's selfish maybe, but also with your line of work, selfless because it's there to protect yourself and other people.
Yeah. But I miss that the most. And after flying armed for 23 years to go to the airport, I'm like, man, I've searched that backpack good. And then it goes through the and it goes ding, and I see them all gathering around. I go, it's me,
Yeah,
it's mine.
I know it's me.
I don't know what's in there. I'm like, I flew armed for 23 years.
That's funny.
So the first couple of times I traveled after retiring, TSA has a couple of my knives and some fully loaded magazines. I was looking for that magazine.
I've actually got a bullet through TSA on several occasions, inadvertently, of course, but I'm like, I missed that one. And then I was on leave. I was in Iraq. This was 2005, and I came home for a couple of weeks for leave. And I'm flying back, and we fly uniformed. So I'm flying back uniformed, and I've got my big green duffel bag, and I go through the thing, and they pull me aside, and I had my uniform on. And they're like, hey, we picked up something on your bag. I'm like, what? And they're like, gunpowder residue. I'm like, the tracks? They're like, can you explain that? I'm like, I thought this kind of explained it. And they're like, are you on active duty? I'm like, yeah. Again.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about this? I like to shoot guns. Sometimes I carry those guns in my backpack.
That's right.
There's no guns in there right now.
Yeah.
But there's probably residue.
There might be some on there.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, I appreciate you coming down and talking with me, man.
No problem, man.
To hear a little bit about your story and stuff is a life that most people are just not familiar with.
Yeah, I try to be really careful too, because I'm so transparent.
Yeah.
And I'm an instructor. I'm a teacher. I'm a speaker. And I go out and do this stuff. And I did it for umpteen years for the FBI. Yeah. I traveled sometimes the world to teach. And now I'm retired, and I try to be real careful, because there's so many people out there still doing the job. And there are men and women out there that have done way more undercover stuff than me. They've people going through more harrowing things, and some people don't want to tell their story. Some people don't have the chance to, like I've been blessed with. So I try to come from a humble spot and not tell too much,
And from where I sit, you seem like you were willing and able to share enough of the story where you get the idea, but not give away any sort of tactical advantage or anything like that.
And my counter argument to some of the haters and they come at you like, oh my gosh, like I had somebody, the Rolling Stones article came out 3 Februaries ago, 2022, and they're like, oh, he's giving away tradecraft. I'm like, what did I say? Well, you said you had a fake ID, and I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, dang, really? You don't think the average reasonable person on the street doesn't know that I'm not coming in as Scott Payne? That kind of makes me not undercover, I'm like, I didn't say how we got it. I didn't say what are the procedures and what are the safety nets we have around. I didn't say none of that.
Right.
I just said, I had a fake ID, I had a fake ID when I was 16 too.
Right. It's like, that
and 18.
New.
Yeah. When I was 16, the legal drinking age was 18. And right about the time I was turning 18,
you need to be 21.
Yeah. I was like, you move the goalpost.
That's funny. Well, for the guys who are listening, want to pick up a copy of the book or connect with you, how do they do that?
You can pre-order right now. It comes out tomorrow.
Tuesday.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah. Tuesday the 25th. Audiobook is me. I did it in my voice, and you can
the high voice or this voice?
the studio voice.
All right, got it.
I try to put on the Barry White. Hello.
Yeah, the sexy voice.
There I was in the basement, naked,
with another man,
with 2 other men.
What's his was it Clothesline?
Clothesline,
yeah. Was he a big guy? Was he as big as you? Was he?
No,
because he was the enforcer,
he was
right?
the enforcer, yeah. He wasn't super huge, but I mean, dangerous is dangerous, right?
I mean,
I do this all the time with training and speaking. I'm like, if I showed you, because people are like, neo-Nazis or terrorists or what's, I go, first of all, there's no boilerplate. What does a terrorist look like? I don't know. But I say, look, if I would have showed you a picture of the kids from Columbine before Columbine happened,
Yeah.
what would you say?
Yeah.
How about the
Kids.
kid from Aurora, orange and yellow and pink, whatever hair? What would you say? How about the kid in Charleston before he killed the people at the black church? Bowl haircut and all that. What would you say? So dead's dead.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't have to tell you. I mean, you're in the military. You've done deployments. But yeah, so the book is Codename Pale Horse. We went with that first because every cool undercover title has been taken multiple
Trying
times.
to find titles is tough.
It's
No
very
doubt.
tough.
No doubt.
But Pale Horse was my moniker in that group, the base.
Okay.
That's kind of the neo-Nazi accelerationist group.
And that was a nod to like the pale horse in the Bible.
Mhm.
Okay, got
Four
it.
Horsemen.
Yeah,
4 Horsemen.
yeah.
And on his name was Death. Yeah, my moniker was Pale Horse, and then you could put the at whatever, and I was at Eater of Souls.
Oh yeah.
Borrowed that from Bray Wyatt, kind of. He passed away. May he rest in peace. But he was a friend, a professional wrestler. His real name was Wyndham Rotunda. But yeah, he was an eater of worlds.
Oh, I know.
Like eater of souls.
Yeah, he was with there's 2 of them, and then a sister or something is there.
Yeah, the Wyatt family.
Yes, Bray Wyatt, and then what was the other one?
Well, he's got a brother.
Yeah, what's his name? I can't remember.
Oh,
his
well,
name.
they've had the Wyatt family. They had all kinds of different wrestlers that really weren't his kinfolk.
Oh,
but
right. That's
does,
who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, but it was the Wyatt family, and then
Got it.
He does have a brother and a sister.
Yeah.
But yeah, we hooked up a long time ago because I've always had. Actually, this is how all this happened because of my connection with professional wrestling.
Is that right?
Yeah, this is how it all started. I was at Payne. Glenn Jacobs is my mayor, and when he was running, I was out with them, and then somebody that was helping with his campaign became a great friend. This is years ago, and they started going into movie stuff, and then you look at the last I don't know how many years, and it's like we get introduced to this person,
Right.
this person, and then you get a Rolling Stones, and then you get a book deal and whatever.
Isn't that wild?
But yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
Well, I
cool.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the service that you've done for your community, for us as well. You know, I think it takes a unique and interesting person to live the kind of life that you did, but we need those kind of people. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I consider it an honor, and same to you. I tell people, because when you do this kind of stuff, you meet all kinds of people from all kinds of walks of life with completely opposing belief systems.
Sure.
But what I try to tell them is, I said, look, just bear with me. I said, but if you're coming and we want to talk about this, you just need to understand that there are evil people on the planet that want to do evil things to good people. And it's been that way pretty much since the beginning of time. And somebody has to get on that wall. Somebody's got to be on it. So I'm happy. I'm happy with the career, and some of it I miss, but a lot of it I don't. I didn't realize how much of a pressure cooker it was just for me to enter the doors of the FBI office until I retired. I mean, I'm like, I'd go 3 days and not cuss at all. I'd be in the office 10 minutes, and I've done dropped 15 F-bombs, and I'm like,
I gotta get out of this place.
I'm like, what the, you know? Oh my God.
That's funny.
But yeah, it's been good, and who knows, maybe I'll bond back in, not FBI, but I got a buddy, if he wins sheriff, maybe I'll bond back in.
Do some law enforcement stuff.
Round it out to a 30-year career.
There you go. That's that alpha mentality you're talking about. Gotta hit that 30.
No, I'm just like, maybe, but I'm like full circle. I was a bouncer, I was a cop, I was FBI. If I go become a cop, then when I stop being a cop, I got to at least bounce for one night.
You do when you retire for good. You go bounce.
One night for like 2 minutes.
You're right. You're like, all right, I'm good.
Okay, that'll be a $5 cover charge. All right, I'm out.
Well, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man.